I just realized how powerful of a tool this iPad could be for content creation. Originally, I wanted to make a review on the shaped camera cart that I have on my left. Well, more like a follow-up video. And I was trying to figure out how I could monitor myself better while I do recordings like this. Because I mean, I have the FX6 over there. So as you can see, the screen is flipped towards me, but it is pretty small. And it's definitely usable, but I just wanted something that was a little bit bigger where I could see the exposure better and be able to control it. And I'll zoom in and you can see, I mean, it works. And that's when I realized that I have this perfectly usable iPad Pro to do all of that. And I don't know why I completely forgot that I had it, and I have the imaging app on there. And that made me think, well, let's make a quick video on this app and how it can be used for content creation and kind of my realization about that. So why did I get this iPad? Well, I got it for a client for a gig that was happening last December, and it was for some interviews that needed to be done on a teleprompter. The client did have their own iPad, I believe, or they had their own teleprompter, but I didn't want to have to mess with using that, and I wanted to have my teleprompter already set up with my FX6, and I just wanted to have a as smooth as possible shoot that I could have with a client. And so that's why I got this iPad. And I figured that this would be a long-term investment and that there would be plenty of jobs where I could use it for teleprompting. So the iPad that I got specifically is the 11-inch 4th generation iPad. It's the one with the M2 chip, and it's also the cellular version. So it doesn't just have Wi-Fi, it has the capability of adding a cellular plan to the iPad. So I got this specific iPad from Facebook Marketplace for 500 bucks. And you can find a lot of these, especially like the Wi-Fi model, for around that price. And especially you could even find ones that come with like a keyboard, and it comes with the Apple Pencil. Anyways, let's get into it. So I've gotten to use this iPad already once for a shoot, and this was about, I want to say, a week and a half ago to 2 weeks ago. It was for a music video for a Twitch streamer, Fan. My brother and I, we needed a way to control the camera because we hired a Steadicam op for this shoot. So I have, whoops, well there goes that screw. So I have the Tilta Nucleus M for pulling focus, and we hired another second AC who has his own. I didn't have the control cable, but even if I did have the control cable, it would only allow me to do the start and stop for the record, and I wouldn't be able to control the camera itself, which is really important because since the camera was on the Steadicam, I just wanted a way that would be the fastest and the most efficient for our shoot for when we needed to change settings on the camera. And this was due, in fact, to the really short time constraints that we had for this shoot. So we just needed something that was a lot more efficient for us to be able to change the settings on the camera. And so that's where this iPad came in, and this was so useful for that. We were able to monitor our shots, but we were also able to do a lot of the stuff with the settings. You can do a lot on here. I'll just start at the top left. You can open up this tool menu and you can enable a lot of these features. These check marks on the left, you can click on and it will add a kind of like an icon on the top side of the menu, just giving you a quick, easy access to these tools. So you can turn on your zebras, which, I mean, I'm not clipping. I mean, I guess I put my hand really close. You can see it. I can turn that off. I can turn off this waveform. I can turn on false color. So it makes it really easy to monitor what you're filming. So if we move to the top right, we can see we can adjust our display size. We can enable, it shows us that we have tracking turned on, so we can actually click on the iPad and track where we want the camera to focus on, just with this iPad. I wonder if it's gonna let me. It's probably because it sees my face. So yeah, so that's another useful tool. You can do tracking if you're using a lens that has autofocus like I'm using right now. If we go to the bottom left, we can control the size of this waveform. And then we can also move it around. So really awesome, super useful. At the bottom, we can turn on our autofocus and we can actually control where our focus is, and it gives us the measurement. We can switch it over to manual focus, and then we can start doing it that way. It definitely wouldn't be useful for pulling focus as a first AC, but for content creation, it's perfect. I'll just turn on autofocus back on, click myself to make sure it's tracking me. You can control your iris right here. So I can go all the way to f22, go back to f2.8. I can control my ND, which is awesome that you're able to do that just on here. So there we go. So you just click the ND on right there where it says ND off. And then on the right side, you can actually see that you can adjust your ND strength. So we can go all the way to 1/108. But let's turn it off. Control, right now I have it on Cine Quick EI, so whenever I'm in 800, it will stay at a base of 800, and then whenever I switch over to 6400, you'll see that it kind of, the image kind of stopped for a second. It switched over to the 12800 base. And yeah, you can see on the left side, it says 12800 base ISO. So let's just go back to 400 EI, which is where I was at. You can change your shutter speed. Then we got our white balance right here. I'm at 3200, but of course you can increase it as high as you want. You can bring it down. You can change the LUT that you have on. Move this out of the way. And we can change our LUT. Oh, I guess since I'm recording, I can't change it. Makes sense. You can see how far the lens is zoomed in and out. I'm guessing if you had a PCZ lens, then you'd be able to control it from here. So yeah, really cool stuff. You can do playback. It's such a cool tool. It worked out really well for us on the shoot. Of course, our first AC, Matthew Abravaya, he brought his own director monitoring setup, which we didn't even know he was gonna bring. So we did use that a lot, but we were using this iPad Pro to do the start and stop for him. That way he didn't have to like run up to the Steadicam and do it manually like that, which allowed us to do more takes. So that was a big deal for us on that shoot. After using it on that shoot, I kind of forgot about this iPad, and then when I was trying to do this video on the shape cart, I just realized that we have this iPad to use for content creation. And right now, I mean, it's working pretty perfectly. And the latency, like when it's this close, let me show you how far I am. I mean, the camera really isn't that far from me. It's probably about, I don't know, how many feet is that? 4 feet? 4 feet away from the camera? 1, 2, 3, maybe 3.5 feet. And it is maintaining a really stable connection. I mean, when we were on the shoot last, the iPad was able to be, I mean, I feel like the camera was 10 to 15 away from us whenever the Steadicam op was doing her thing. So really useful, made me realize that getting this iPad was actually worth it. You can't be too far away from the camera with this iPad or with the app, but From this distance for content creation, it is perfect. On the previous firmware versions of the FX6, it worked with a different version of this app for monitoring and control. So I would definitely suggest downloading the newest firmware for the FX6 and using the newest app that they have for that firmware. The firmware, or what the app looks like, it's called the Monitor and Control App. And it's this logo right here. It's the M and C red logo. If you want a tutorial on how to connect your iPhone or your iPad to the FX6, I would definitely suggest just viewing this video. This is the one that helped me. Some points to remember is 1, definitely make sure your firmware is on the newest version. And then 2, if you run into any problems, I think the first thing that I did was I reset the network settings on my FX6. And then Robbie over there in his room, he was able to follow the tutorial and connect to the app. Whether you're using it on the job or if you're using it for content creation like I am using it, I would definitely recommend looking into using this app. You can get it on the iPad, but you can also get it on your phone and be able to control it that way. If you have any questions about this, about the setup or about the app, or if you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out in the comments below. If you want any other videos, just let me know. Anyways, if you like what you're seeing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Our goal right now is to hit 1,000 subscribers. And then from there, I don't know what the next goal will be, but we'll see you on the next video.